What is happening, wonderful people? So I just got done watching episode 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters season 2. And in this series, we follow Kate, Kentaro, and May as they escape a Monarch base while Lee Shaw attempts to escape Hollow Earth to return to the surface. And that's all I can say without giving too much away. Let's talk about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
So Monarch Legacy of Monsters, when it comes to Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1, and when it comes to this new season as well, and the Monsterverse as a whole, I consider myself a huge Godzilla fan. I consider myself a huge King Kong fan as well. Not just a Godzilla fan, but a King Kong fan as well. And I can never decide which one I like more. Like, I was actually thinking about that earlier as I was writing my notes, as I was writing this. I was thinking about it. I was like, do I like King Kong more? Do I like Godzilla more? I don't know. And as you can tell, I got my shirt. I remembered I had this shirt, and I was like, oh, I have to wear this. I have to wear this. And I technically grew up with all of these like super popular pop culture type characters like Godzilla and King Kong. And as far as the movies in the Monsterverse go, I really enjoyed Godzilla from 2014. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember really enjoying that one. I did. And especially with how massive Godzilla is in here, with how massive Godzilla is in that film. The scope and scale are both massive in there, especially the scope and scale on Godzilla. It's massive in there. And Kong Skull Island, I like the film. I really do. I will say though, the last time I actually sat down and watched the movie was maybe about a couple of months ago. And when I was watching it, I don't think I watched the full thing at that time a couple of months ago, but when I did watch it, I didn't love it as much as I remembered. Like, it's still good, but it just wasn't as grand as I remember it being. And Godzilla King of the Monsters, I remember really liking this one as well. And it's been a long time since I've seen this one. I think I've actually only seen it fully once, like in the theaters, like years ago, 2019. So a long time ago. But I remember, even though I've only, I think, seen it fully once, I remember really liking it. Maybe not as much as the first one. Maybe I do like it more than the first one. I'll have to really, like, dig down deep and think about it. And then you have Godzilla vs. Kong. It still has its moments, that movie does, but unfortunately I remember being somewhat disappointed with it. That came out in around 2021. It came out in 2021 where Warner Bros. Was kind of releasing all of their films on streaming. So I feel like if I watched it in the theaters, I would have liked it more, but unfortunately I saw it at home on the smallest screen possible. And I think there's some good things about it. I do like the film. I do like it, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be at that time. And you have Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. It's a delightful film. It is. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's not going for any Oscars. It's not trying to win you over with fantastic dialogue or anything. It's just solely made to entertain you. It's a movie that's not trying to be perfect. It's just, it's made to put you in a seat and to put other people in a seat so you can just turn your brain off and enjoy it for what it is. It is a popcorn type film. That's all it is. So now you can kind of see my background with the Monsterverse franchise. You can now see where I'm at, what relationship I have with the Monsterverse franchise, the universe as a whole. And I am a fan of this franchise overall. I am. And when it comes to season 1 of Monarch, I actually started this show years ago when it came out, but I never finished it, and I just recently binged all of season 1 last week, and it's a good show. It's not perfect. It's not trying to win any Emmys or anything. It's solely just trying to entertain you. That's what it's trying to do, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But when it comes to season 2, I really didn't have any big expectations, like any big expectations at all. Even as someone who's a fan of this franchise, as someone who did enjoy season 1, as someone who did enjoy season 1 thoroughly for the most part, I still really didn't have any big expectations, even as someone who is a fan of this franchise. I am. And as someone who really did enjoy season 1, I feel like I wasn't over the top excited, mainly because I was so late to season 1. But after watching the first episode of this new season, season 2, it's a totally solid and fine introduction to this new season. It's totally fine. So if you're new to my channel, or if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I like to talk about my positives first, then my negatives next. But even when I need to be negative, I will be positive. And even when I need to be positive, I will be negative as well. And overall, Monarch, the first episode of Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 is a fine introduction to this new season. It is. And I know with this being only the first episode, we have like 9 more episodes to go. I believe it's hard to gauge kind of how the rest of the season is going to go because we have a while, obviously, until it ends. I think the last episode, so this was episode 1, so we have about, I think there's going to be 10 episodes in total, so 9 more episodes to go. I think the last episode is gonna end around May, I think like May 1st or something like that. And it really is hard to gauge how the rest of the season's gonna go, especially with this being only the first episode. But it is a totally fine start. It's a totally fine start. And as someone who recently just watched all of season 1, and as someone who thoroughly enjoyed it, I was kind of looking forward to season 2 as of late. But as someone who likes these characters and as someone who cares about their relationships and dynamics, that's mainly why I was excited to dive back into this world. And the main premise of this episode solely is about our few main characters, Kate, May, Kentaro, and Hiroshi, going to Skull Island. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen season 1, but they go to save Lee Shaw, Kurt Russell, because in the season finale of season 1, he gets left behind on Hollow Earth and there's like a cliffhanger involved. They throw you, they leave you with the cliffhanger, and they try to go save him. And then you have the threat, which this time around, instead of Godzilla, I think Godzilla is going to be in the show in this season later on down the line. But the main threat in here that we see so far, the main threat in episode 1 is Kong. And if you've seen Skull Island, you know Kong does not mess around. He does not mess around at all. And they're on his turf. They are. And he shows no mercy. He shows no mercy. And overall, talking about my positives, the things I liked in this episode, the things I'm liking in this season so far. I like our group of characters. I like Kate, played by Anna Sawai, May, played by Kiersey Clemens, and Kentaro, played by Ren Watabe, and Lee Shaw, played by Kurt Russell. You also have Tim, played by Joe Tippett, and Kiko, played by Mary Yamamoto. They're all extremely likable. They are. You actually care about them as characters, and you care about the relationship that each one of them have, not just with this soul person or that soul person, not just the relationship that person has with that person or the relationship that person has with that person, but them as a group. You care about the relationship that they have, those three or everybody together. You care about their relationship. You really do. And I love how they all stick up for each other and how much they all care about each other. They would do anything to protect you. If you were in the friend group with them, you feel how much they care. You feel how much they care. You can see all of their hearts. You can see how good all of their hearts are. And they would do anything to protect you. They would do anything. They would go the extra mile to protect you. And they would do anything to make sure that you're okay. They would take a bullet for you. And that's the type of friend that you want to have. That's one that you would have, that would have your back at any moment. And I love seeing Kong again. If you liked Skull Island, you might actually really enjoy this season, especially with what they're doing story-wise this time around. They're mainly focusing on Kong, and I love how season 1 was mainly focused on Godzilla, and now it's mainly focused on Kong. And I like that switcheroo kind of. And Kong was definitely scary in the movie, but in this episode, let alone, he's more frightening than ever. He really is. Like, he's more angry. Like, you don't want to go anywhere near him. Like, there's a scene where Kurt Russell is on this certain thing and Kong is walking towards him, and you can see how fast he's walking. You can see he's getting closer and closer and closer, and you feel that suspense. You feel that terror, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get near him. Oh, I feel like I'm there. I gotta back up. And you like Kong as a character, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, I just want to stay away from him. He doesn't show any mercy. He will right then and there. He will get you right then and there. And I feel like the stakes feel higher, especially with him being at the forefront. And I do like trying to guess what's really going on in here. What's Monarch's like real motive? What's their real motive? What's the real looming threat beyond Kong and Godzilla? And is there something that we as the audience don't know? Is there something that we're gonna find out about later on in the season? Like, how deep is the lore gonna go this time around? And the season finale, are we gonna find out who the real threat is? Is it gonna connect to Supernova next year? Are we gonna get a season 3? Like, I love the mystery aspect of Monarch and trying to figure out who the real threat is and who is the real threat at the forefront beyond Kong, beyond Monarch, beyond Godzilla. And I think it's a well-directed show. I thought season 1 was directed well as well, and I think season 1's a better directed show. I'll talk more about that in my negative section. We'll talk about the negatives in a little bit in that section, but I think it's a well-directed show. For an Apple show, I mean, they always do a good job, obviously, but it's a good looking show. I like how it's directed. It's very pleasing to the eye, and I love the score in here. That's probably, if not my favorite thing about this series. It has a very energized beat to it, and it kind of gets you pumped up. It gets me pumped up every time the intro comes on, and it's one of those intros in a show that I will not skip because I love how energized and just magnetic the beat is, and you really just, it makes you sit up and you're like, oh, I'm really feeling this beat, and I love this score. It's so just energetic, and it's just getting my blood pumping, and it has its own unique and distinct vibe as well, and I think that goes along with the Monarch, the MonsterVerse franchise as a whole. I mean, whether it's Kong Skull Island, whether it's King of the Monsters, whether it's the first Godzilla or Monarch season 1, or Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, all of these projects have such a unique vibe. All of these projects have such a distinct vibe, and I think Monarch especially season 1 has a very unique vibe. It has a very distinct vibe. It does, and I really think that's one of the things I like about it, and I think that's one of the things that will help me like this season as well. And as someone who likes Skull Island, the movie, it was really cool to see them go back to the island. It kind of felt nostalgic in a way. It did, and I remember going to see Skull Island in the theaters years ago, 2017, when I was younger, and I remember really enjoying it. I did, and I love the richness in that movie, whether it's the cinematography, whether it's the camera movements, whether it's the color grading, or even just the vibe in general. It was really cool to see that setting in this episode again. And right when this episode opens up as well, they throw you right into it. They do. There's no downtime. They throw you right into it. They show you the threat that's ahead, which is Kong in here. And you just feel that massive scope and scale of his character. You just see how massive he is. You see how terrifying he is. And you don't want to get anywhere close to him. You're like, I just want to back up and stay away from him. He's a cool character. If I'm standing below him, I'm like, I'm either gonna get crushed, but it might be worth it because he's so freaking cool to look at. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, I don't want to get crushed. You're pretty cool, but I'm just gonna back up this way. And the episode is mainly a rescue mission, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I did, and I'm a sucker for anything that has to do with rescuing someone in shows or movies. And I think the acting's good. It's not the worst acting you've ever seen. It's definitely not the best acting you've ever seen either, but you enjoy these characters and the presence and vibe that they all bring to the screen, so you don't really mind if the acting is a bit cheesy at times. You don't really mind if it is subpar at times. For the most part, it is good. It's not like Emmy worthy or anything, in my personal opinion. What I've gathered from this first episode, this new season, and season 1 as a whole, it's not Emmy worthy, but it's still good acting. There's a difference between good acting and Emmy worthy acting, and I don't think it's up there, but it's still good. It's still good. But with the positives, there also come the negatives. And overall, I said that it's a fine episode so far. It's a fine season so far. It's not perfect. This is only the first episode. We have 9 more episodes to go. So we have a ways to go. The last episode will release in May. It will drop in May. So we do have a ways to go. But I like the characters. I like this world. I like the score and the way it's directed. But I will say, the first season was a better looking show. It is a better looking show. Like this season so far, I like how this season so far is directed. Like this season so far is directed well, it is, but you can definitely tell that after these few years, because season 1 came out November of 2023, so it's been maybe about 2.5 years. It's been about 2.5 years, so not a super long time, but that's still a long time. It is when you really sit down and think about it. And you can definitely tell after these few years, it doesn't look as good as season 1. It's still a well-directed show. It's still directed well, but it's not as well-directed as season 1. Season 1's not even the greatest well-directed show either. It's a good-looking show, but it's not like the best-looking show ever. But in terms of Monarch, in terms of this series, I think season 1 is the better-looking show. And that didn't take me out of it, though. That's just something that I noticed. And just like in season 1, I like Wyatt Russell's character. He's Lee Shaw as well. Kurt Russell's character, but in the past, I like the trio of him, Kiko, and Bill Randa, who's played by Anders Holm. I like them as a trio, but just like in season 1, I don't find their part of the story in this series as interesting or as grand as the story involving Kate, May, and Kentaro. I think those three are definitely more interesting. And you do see a lot of tropes and cliches in here. There's a scene where our characters are on Skull Island and they're walking by Colin as he's asleep and they're trying not to wake him up. They're trying to be super quiet and one of our characters steps on a stick by accident and it makes some noise, and I kind of saw that coming, but at the same time it didn't still take me out of it. But those little tropes and cliches might annoy a lot of people, and so far the story doesn't seem as interesting as season 1. While season 1's not perfect, it definitely had a more interesting and more intriguing story. And like I said, right when episode 1 opens up, they throw you right into it. They do, and which isn't a bad thing. It's not, but it definitely makes the season feel like a part 2 in a way, kind of like a part 2 instead of like an actual brand new season. And I feel like the story would have benefited better if they maybe cut to like 3 years later, or maybe like 1 year later, something kind of like that. And some of the dialogue definitely could have been punched up as well. And that didn't really bother me in season 1, how some of the dialogue kind of felt cheesy and kind of awkward. Some of the line delivery kind of sounded cheesy and felt awkward at times. And this didn't really bother me in season 1 either, how we didn't get much Godzilla in there. But I will say, I am hoping that we do get a lot more Titans around this time, because it's basically a Godzilla and Kong show. It is. Sure, our main characters are the humans, but underneath it all, it is really about the Titans. Like, our main characters are the humans, they are, but it is underneath it all, it is about Kong and Godzilla. So I am hoping, even though in season 1 not seeing the Titans that much didn't take me out of it, we did see Godzilla at the very end, the last episode of season 1, but it didn't take me out of it. But I am hoping that we see more Titans in here in season 2. I am hoping that we get more like Titan action. So yeah, overall, with Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, Episode 1, I think that this is a solid and fine introduction into Season 2 and into this new season. And as a fan of Godzilla, as a fan of King Kong, as a fan of this MonsterVerse franchise, and as someone who thoroughly did enjoy Season 1 of Monarch, I think that this was a solid and fine, not great, but fine introduction into this season. And I hope it gets better. I have faith that it'll get better down the line. So with the first episode, with episode 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, I will give this episode a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And with Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, episode 1, I will say dedicate your time. If you're a fan of King Kong, if you're a fan of Godzilla, if you like the MonsterVerse franchise, if you like Season 1 of Monarch, I think you'll probably enjoy this episode and this introduction to this episode. So that'll wrap up this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, share in this video. We just hit 1K subs a while back. We're now 1.2K. And the next big milestone is 2K and 3K after that. Beyond that as well. If you're new as well, I did movie reviews, TV show reviews, trailer reactions, movie live streams, movie news, movie rankings, all that wonderful movie stuff under the movie umbrella. And let's talk about in the comments down below. Did you like this first episode? Did y'all not like this first episode? Are y'all excited for this season going forward? Are y'all not excited for this season? Let's talk about it down below. Keep talking movies, wonderful people. Cheers.